to the Swoll Tide podcast, episode number 1. It's a Alabama podcast. We talk about football, of Alabama football, Roll Tide, and we recap the games. We predict the games coming up in the following weekend. We got Justin Riley as my co-host. Hey, Justin.
Man, what is going on, buddy? We're going into week 8 of college football. Love it.
This is mid-season, isn't it, almost?
It's pretty much mid-season, man. We're at the halfway point, or actually a little bit further. The playoff picture and title picture starting to look a little bit more clear. Still a lot of football to be played, though, but looking a little bit more clear, though.
Now, Alabama just came back after I guess a kind of mediocre to easy game. I mean, it was 41-9 on paper, but people were saying before the game it was going to be tough, but there's not been one hard game this season for Alabama.
Well, this whole season's been kind of a wait and see type thing. Of course, from this past season, as you know, as any Alabama fan knows, we lost a tremendous amount of talent to the NFL and graduation, mainly to the NFL, and replacing these guys was huge. And these aren't just normal everyday players. A lot of these guys will go down as legends in Alabama folklore. And replacing those guys, that takes time. They're once in a lifetime players like Jonathan Allen, Reuben Foster, Ryan Anderson, and the list goes on and on. And it's hard to replace those guys. So entering this season, we had a lot of question marks on the defense, mainly because we had a lot of guys coming back, not so much experience as we'd like. Then we also had a lot of young guys we were putting in roles that either had never seen playing time or who were freshmen who basically just got their campus brochure and were ushered onto the field. So, but we knew the offense was going to be strong. Coach Brian Dabo coming in from New England had an opportunity to really work with Jalen Hurts and develop him as a quarterback, which was clearly absent last season with Lane Kiffin and all the drama that surrounded him. Clearly, Jalen Hurts is just a tremendous athlete, 18 years old, doing the things he did, a tremendous leader, without a whole lot of direction, a whole lot of coaching ups, which says a lot about him as an athlete, him as a leader. But like I said, off-season had an opportunity to really work with him, fine-tune his craft. He really got some awesome pieces on the offense that typically Alabama isn't accustomed to. So we all knew coming this season, offense was going to be a pretty big deal. Again, defense, we thought we were going to be good. The question was how good. But as the weeks progressed, Alabama's getting better and better, especially on the defensive side. First game, we all know that we lost a lot of players defensively to injury. We lost 2 players for the year, season-ending injuries, which was hard to swallow. Lost Rashawn Evans for a few games or so. Lost a couple other guys. For the next 3 or so weeks, we were healing, and we had a lot of young guys, even some walk-ons, having to contribute and get going. But slowly, we started coming back together. The defense started getting better. Then players started returning, and then all of a sudden, you're seeing games like what you saw against Vanderbilt. And that tremendous we got you back defeat of Ole Miss, and then the Texas A&M win, and now on to Arkansas. As far as the A&M win, on paper, we were favored to win quite handily. But to be honest with you, I saw, and what a lot of folks saw from the Alabama side of things was Alabama was due for one of those games where things just weren't clicking, where they were kind of flat, I guess you could say. It was just a question of when it was going to happen, and I guess the A&M game was that game. Don't get me wrong, Texas A&M, tremendously talented team. Going into that game, they're quietly 4-1. People might argue just how legitimately good they were based on the struggle wins they had against lower tier schools. The fact is, they were 4-1, and they're highly competitive. We went to a very hostile environment, and Kyle Field and they were ready. And I tell you what, their quarterback, freshman kid, man, that tremendous player. I'm not looking forward to the next 2 3 years he's going to be playing against us, but great team win. We're able to pull it out. Another huge game from Damian Harris, one of the most overlooked running backs in the nation, able to pull that off. And then we come to the Arkansas game. Wasn't quite sure how we are going to respond there, but we knew Nick Saban had a message for that team and was encouraging them to respond after that subpar performance.
Now, you were saying that Texas A&M was the closest game of the season so far. What you think about the Colorado State game?
Colorado State game, I felt like the players may have been bored. To be quite honest with you, because it was a lesser competition. I felt like we started out strong. We were foot on the gas, just doing what Alabama's capable of doing of a mid-level team against a mid-level team, and then they decided to go into coast mode because honestly they felt like they could because of the fact that we're Alabama and we have a tremendous assembly of great talent. So I felt like they could coast and just kind of get through that game. But as you know, regardless of who the opponent is, Nick Saban will not accept that kind of that play from his team. And felt like we gave up a little bit too much on defense. I mean, we gave up, I believe, that around 400 or so yards of total offense or more against the Colorado State team. Not to take anything away from them, but you just don't let that happen. Being Alabama, being the number one team in the country, trying to pursue redemption after that loss to Clemson from the previous year. But I felt like we showed a lot of strength on offense, but I felt like at times we got complacent and definitely could have played a lot better.
Would you think the Vanderbilt game was the perfect game?
Well, it's about as perfect as you could draw up. I mean, uh, this game, we got challenged a little bit by one of their players who decided just because they happened to capture an unexpected win against a ranked opponent, they felt like they were world beaters and ready to take on the giants of college football. So got a little bit disrespected, saying that we were going to be the next to fall. And one thing that I can say about the Crimson Tide is, if you give us bulletin board material, we're going to show you what we're all about. We're going to show you what Daddy can do. And that's exactly what they did. They came out motivated, hitting on all cylinders. We had Marshawn Evans back. We had a few other key players back. But the main thing was, man, they were dialed in. And they were playing a complete game. And up to that point, we really hadn't seen a complete game from Alabama. We really hadn't seen Alabama dialed in because I believe that they really didn't feel like they had to be, except for the Florida State game because, it was a 1 versus 3 contest. And that outcome could have shifted the entire season. But, like I said, I feel like that was Alabama's first complete game, and I feel like they were really dialed in. And it carried over the next week to Ole Miss, which I feel like Alabama was still very salty after those 2 consecutive years of losing to the Rebels. Which is a hard pill for me to swallow because I come from a family of nothing but Ole Miss fans and graduates. I now live in Mississippi, so you can only imagine that grief I've caught for the past few years. And then last year, I feel like we didn't really just win. I feel like we kind of escaped. I mean, we got the W, but it's more of an escape. It really wasn't a convincing, dominating win. This year, it was convincing. It was dominating. It was we're Alabama, and you're Ole Miss. Get back in your place.
How would you compare this team compared to the past Nick Saban teams so far?
Oh, a lot of people saying this is probably the best team Alabama's had in a while. I disagree. I think mainly because of the defensive players. While we were quite talented on defense this year, I feel like last season and the season before that is probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest, defensive teams as a unit we've ever had at Alabama. Sure, if you look in history, you'll see a lot of great defensive teams with a lot of players that are legends and who are currently in the NFL. I feel like the past 2 seasons we really had something special. This season, I feel like we're really good. How good are we? Not quite sure yet. I feel like we're getting there. Offense, I think we have one of the best offensive teams we've had in a very long time. Defense is good, but not quite the level as we were last year. But we got a lot of young guys, so there's tremendous upside there. I think it's a really good team. I think they're very capable of getting back to the playoffs. Um, the sky's the limit. I feel like you really hadn't seen just how far the rabbit hole goes with this Alabama team yet. So the jury's still out for me, so I really can't answer the question quite yet. But I got a good feeling.
Yeah, because the schedule we haven't faced as toughest yet.
No, not yet. And, many people may argue, we're a 35, 34-point favorite. I forgot what it was against Tennessee, but that's a rivalry game. And, you might as well go ahead and throw out the record book, stat sheets, all those, glamorous things that the college football media throws that at you. It's a rivalry game. Both teams are going to be up for it. Both teams are going to be ready. Both teams they hate each other and they're ready to put each other away. So that's going to be a test. And then we're going to head to a resurgent LSU team where they actually come to us. And that's going to be a tough game. That's really going to show us where we're at. Always a mentally tough game, always a physically tough game. Um, that's one of the biggest tests we'll have this season, as we do every season. And a lot of people have written off LSU for dead a couple of weeks ago, and I'm one of those people who did not. I felt like while they had their little struggles, LSU wasn't done. I felt like they were going to have resurgence, like I said. And here we go. They beat Florida, and then they turn around and they come from 20 points down to beat number 10 Auburn. So this Tiger team is a very dangerous team, and they're not just going to roll over because we're Alabama. They want to beat us. They hate us. So we're going to have a test there. I feel like Mississippi State's going to be a test. They're a very good team, very athletic team. Got a good quarterback there. Don't quite have all the pieces to beat Alabama, but it's college football. Anybody can beat anybody any given day. Of
How
course,
about
we
Mercer?
got the Mercer. The unless we just don't show up, I expect the players to be done in the first half, if not first quarter. They better be because I don't want any injuries. And then again, got the Iron Bowl, the game at the end, the true measuring stick of success, no matter what's going on. You don't
That's
have
a
a
bigger
17,000.
rivalry than like the Tennessee Volunteers. You would say.
What's that?
You would say Auburn is a bigger rival than like the Volunteers.
To be honest with you, there's kind of a distinct difference. With Tennessee, it's a hate rivalry. With Auburn, it's one of those little brother versus brother, very competitive rivalry. You respect the Auburn, don't want to lose to them, but you got some respect there. Whereas Tennessee, that's just pure hate. And to be honest with you, those of you who really know Alabama trivia, Tennessee is actually Alabama's oldest rivalry. Uh, Matter of fact, there was a time where Alabama stopped playing Auburn from 1907 to 1948. Alabama started playing Tennessee in 1901 and has played them ever since. So it's actually one of college football's oldest rivalries, not just one of Alabama's oldest rivals. So, but there's always been a hate factor there in Tennessee. There's always been that intense rivalry back in the day when it was, Neyland and Coach Bryant, and then of course we all know the rivalry between Alabama and Philip Fulmer. Philip Fulmer was one of the whistleblowers who tried to put Alabama under with the NCAA, and but yeah, man, it's always been a hate rivalry. It's always been one we march on our calendars third Saturday in October. Gotta get that W no matter what.
What's the matchup looking like for this weekend? Is going to be a very defensive game, offensive. It's going to be gunslinging, high-scoring match. What do you think?
I think it's probably going to be a defensive game. I don't think Tennessee quite has the firepower at quarterback they would need to really air it out, and I guess to live up to what you just said, a gunslinging affair. Unless this new kid, Jared Garantano, shows us something we hadn't seen. He's only played one game this season after relieving Quentin Dormandy. Had a heartbreaking loss against South Carolina last week. He's a young kid, freshman, and it's just a tall order to go against Alabama and expect him just to air it out. Of course, I could be wrong. I mean, look at Fromm over at Georgia, freshman coming in, lighting up the scoreboard. But it's going to be a defensive game. It's going to be a physical game. I think it's going to be run in the trenches, one in the trenches. Tennessee's got a pretty good running back, and John Kelly has shown great talent in spurts. I don't think Tennessee quite has the offensive line to open holes against Alabama, which Alabama's strength is against the run game. I think Alabama is one of the leaders of the nation against the run. So this is going to be tough sledding for Tennessee if Alabama is able to shut down that run game and force the game to be in the hands of Garantano. It's going to be a long day for Tennessee. I think the first half is going to be a close game. And then in the second half, Alabama's going to be in a position to start pulling away after wearing them down because Tennessee's still thin, got a lot of young guys. As long as Alabama doesn't put themselves in any situations to where it's going to be a close game, as long as Alabama isn't turning the ball over, making minimal mistakes, or suffer any injuries, I think in the second half you'll see Alabama pull away.
And what's your prediction score?
What I predict or what I want to be.
Either or, I mean.
Well, man, as history proves, if you kind of watch the rivalry here in the last, 5 or so years, when Alabama has been predicted to win handily, it's always been a close affair. So I'm thinking Alabama is going to win, I'd say 24-10.
That's pretty low scoring.
That's a rivalry game, and that's what tends to happen. On the upside, if Alabama, goes the route of what all these analysts are predicting, it could be an Alabama route 41-10.
They are playing at Bryant-Denny Stadium, so
definitely huge for us, and definitely a great factor in assisting us with what we got to do. Tennessee is entering into a very hostile environment, and that crowd of 102,000 is going to be ready to go.
My prediction is going to be 34-3.
Hey, I'll take that too. But Alabama is very successful right now in the run game. It's very hard to slow that down. And like I said, Damon Harris is a human highlight reel right now. This guy is playing with a chip on his shoulder. He's just not getting the credit he quite deserves from the media. Saquon Barkley, the run back from Penn State, is clearly one of the best in the nation. Getting a lot of praise, hyped up, as deservingly so. But I feel like Damian Harris, what he contributes to our team, what he's been able to do, is being overlooked. And this kid, mark my words, you may see him at the end of the season in Heisman discussion. This kid's good.
Are you sure?
And of course, our running game behind him, we got another heavyweight, Bo Scarborough, which I'm still waiting for that huge game, an eruption to happen, if you will, from him. And then Josh Jacobs is finally getting healthy again. I tell you what, this kid is going to be something special. Yes, we got a stable of backs. This kid is very versatile. Kind of reminds me of Kenyon Drake a little bit. Very versatile, but also very physical. So I think he has a little bit of an edge over Drake in that area. So just be watching that. Still waiting for some big games from our receivers. Got arguably one of the best receivers in the nation, Calvin Ridley. Hadn't got very many looks this year. We hadn't really had to air it out. But then once we do, I feel like Calvin's going to come up big, along with his counterpart on the other side, Jerry Judy, freshman, who shows a lot of promise.
Okay, let's go through the college predictions for the weekend. Ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Maryland, Wisconsin.
Whoever falls asleep first. No, Wisconsin clearly. I just don't see Maryland being able to, last very long on that one. Wisconsin is just so physical, got an amazing running game going. I don't see this one being close. I feel like Wisconsin is going to win 34-10.
Oklahoma State, Longhorns.
Well, I tell you what, man. Even though Texas hasn't really had a lot to show on the win column, they've been very competitive, very scrappy. They haven't been, even though they've lost, they're not getting blown out. They're making it very competitive. I think they're going to give Oklahoma State some fits. If Oklahoma State makes mistakes and tends to do things that's uncharacteristic of their team, I think Texas might have opportunity to win. However, I just don't feel like Texas is quite there to pull this off. Oklahoma State is one of the best offensive teams in the nation right now. Man, they are lighting that scoreboard up. Man, they are generating some serious offense, and I just don't see Texas being able to match them shout for shout. Man, I feel like it's going to be close first half, but I feel like in the second half you're going to see Oklahoma State pull it off, scoring I say 45-17 Oklahoma State.
Syracuse, Miami, and keep in mind Syracuse is the one that beat Clemson last week.
Yes, and I feel let me address this. I feel like a lot of people are putting way too much into that Syracuse defeat. I'm not disrespecting you, Syracuse Orangemen. Appreciate what you did. Respect what you did. That was huge for your program. Good stuff. But I feel like they were a benefactor of a Clemson team that wasn't 100%. You had their quarterback who was a game time decision because of injuries the previous week. He tried to make it to go, but ended up having to be assisted off the field. He went down. Clemson just really couldn't get together. They couldn't focus. Just not the typical Clemson team. I just feel like that was a fluke for Clemson. Again, not taking anything away from Syracuse. That's great, but I feel like this isn't the revival of Syracuse. I feel like the Clemson just had a bad game. Just had everything go wrong, and Clemson isn't done. But I feel like Miami is the better team. I don't feel like Syracuse is going to offer any surprises. I feel like it's going to be close for a little bit. This is a quietly undefeated Miami team who is scrapping every week and getting some quality wins against some quality opponents. This isn't like they're playing like Alabama A&M or West Texas Library College. I mean, they're getting wins against quality opponents. And they have an opportunity to go undefeated in their division. They're just looking good to me, and they're doing all the right things. I feel like Miami is gonna win this game, and they're gonna win. I say 34-15.
LSU, Mississippi.
Man, tell you what, we were talking about the Alabama-Tennessee rivalry. That's a hatred rivalry. I tell you, I venture to say the Ole Miss LSU rivalry is a bigger hate fest than ours. I tell you what, these teams, their fans genuinely can't stand the existence of the other. That's just how big that is. I mean, after they play the national anthem at these games, the Ole Miss faithful follow up with "Go to hell, LSU." But it's interesting to watch. I think that Ole Miss isn't playing at the level that they're capable of because, quite frankly, they have nothing to play for right now. They are still awaiting the verdict of the NCAA infractions, which I'm very surprised that the NCAA has not delivered a verdict quite yet. Very frustrated about that because I don't think it's fair to the players. But I'm getting off subject. We can talk about that later. But I think this is the rivalry game, and I feel like Ole Miss, if any game, they're going to get up against LSU. I think it's going to be a very competitive game. LSU, man, on offense, they're a question mark. I feel like they have the talent to do something big, but they're not showing us anything, and they're just running the same 3 or 4 plays over and over again. However, their talent offense is better than Ole Miss. But if Ole Miss is able to shut down that run and force Etling to take the game into his hands, it could be a difficult day for LSU. Now, if LSU is able to establish the run game and just run through them, which Ole Miss has proven they can't stop the run this season, then LSU is going to get on a roll quick, fast, in a hurry, especially if that defense gets fired up. But I really see this being a close game. I feel like LSU has the edge. I say LSU wins 24-21.
USC, Notre Dame.
Man, this is where you're going to find out if USC is for real or if Notre Dame's for real.
It's a toss-up, isn't it?
It really is. Notre Dame has only lost one game. It was a heartbreaker against a very good Georgia team. Um, they're just really looking good. They've able to come up with some serious offense here as of late. Tremendous running game. No, and Notre Dame is really the one of the best teams that nobody's talking about right now. Everybody's talking about USC from the very beginning of the preseason and before that. I guess USC was anointed by the sports media as the chosen ones to win everything, along with their quarterback being anointed the Heisman Trophy winner, as if he didn't have anything to prove, or being labeled the number one quarterback taken in the draft, if not the number one player in the draft. It's like they're trying to will USC to be on this level of greatness. I'm not buying it yet. USC has had struggle wins each week. They lost to a team they shouldn't have lost to, and let's be honest, their quarterback isn't really impressive. I mean, the guy's turnovers. People seem to be overlooking that, and they shouldn't. He's turning the ball over frequently. He's throwing interceptions. He's fumbling. Oh, man, this is just a toss-up. I want to see Notre Dame win just because it's Notre Dame. You know, when you think of college football, that's one of the first names that comes up. I really want to see Notre Dame relevant again. I really want to see them in the pursuit of a title again because I feel like it's good for college football.
Michigan, Penn State.
Well, I didn't give you my.
Oh, I thought you said Notre Dame. You're leaning towards them.
I'm leaning towards Notre Dame. I want them to win. However, I feel like the luck of USC is going to come in late again, and I feel like USC is going to win 27-24, something like that.
Okay, USC it is. Penn State is ranked number 2 in the AP poll, and they go up against Michigan. Who do you think?
Man, I really, to be honest with you, I'm not buying into to Michigan right now. I don't feel like they're as good as what we were made to believe coming into this season. I feel like they got a lot of questions on that offense. Um, and Penn State is just on fire right now, man. That team is inspired. They got a great coach, is a great leader who is getting the absolute best out of every player. And they got one of the best players, if not the best player in the nation, Saquon Barkley, who was just ripping and running through defenses all day long, every week.
Potential matchup for Alabama.
A possible matchup. I'd love to see it from a historic standpoint. Man, I don't think that that Michigan has the ability to withstand Penn State. I think on paper, Penn State is the much better team. Now, this game is really going to prove if Penn State's for real. Are they ready for the big stage? If they're ready for the big stage, big win, 34-10.
They got to beat Michigan.
If they're ready for the big stage, 34-10 Penn State. If they're not, I still say Penn State wins narrowly, 17-14.
And lastly, Kansas versus TSU.
Wow. TSU.
Big game or not a big game?
This is the battle of the homecoming teams. I say Kansas.
Okay, well, TSU, they're ranked third or fourth. Um, they're actually ranked number 4. This is the rankings right now. Alabama, Penn State, Georgia, TSU.
Sorry.
This is the top
Oh,
4.
TCU. I scored 60 on them. Sorry. I was just kidding, man. TCU.
You want Kansas to win. You just want you want to have an upset this weekend, and Kansas will be the one.
No, they're not. Kansas is. I'm sorry. They're no. TCU is on a roll, man. They're on fire. No one's really slowing them down. One team slows them down themselves. Kenny as a thrill hill is playing on an incredible level. I bet Texas A&M is absolutely kicking themselves in the butt right now for allowing him to transfer, showing that they made a mistake. And man, that kid's playing on an awesome level. Man, TCU's going to score 60, buddy. I say 60-7.
Is it over for Clemson?
No, by no means. Like I said earlier, man, Clemson is not done at all. That was just one of those fluke games, and before that, Clemson was just absolutely handling people. Man, they got scary good defense. Bryant is looking good at quarterback. He's a great leader. His team's responding well to him. They're clicking on all cylinders. Not as strong in the running game as they were last year, but still, man, rebel team. And also, too, their schedule allows them to get back into it because they're going to be facing some quality opponents, some ranked opponents during the regular season, and if they make it to the ACC title game. So, man, if they go undefeated, no question, they're in. I don't see anyone forcing them to sit out.
This is part of the show where we talk about Alabama players in the NFL. Justin, so far, which one has really brightened up your eyes?
Man, right now, let's see. Well, up until Monday, man, it's Jonathan Allen. That kid, those of you who've been following or don't know, he had a season-ending injury this past Monday, and he's going to be out. That kid has been disrupting some offenses, man, and getting the quarterback, been just phenomenal. Of course, we all knew it coming in because of what he was able to do at Alabama, did some phenomenal things. And, man, just as a rookie, wasn't even playing like a rookie, man, playing like a veteran, and was commanding the respect of his teammates. And that defense is really being formed around him. And unfortunately, man, against the 49ers, hurt himself, and he's out. So hate it for the young guy, but, man, he's got a tremendous future ahead and definitely has a lot to play for. But I still hate it for him.
How is Derrick Henry doing lately?
Derrick Henry, listen, the kid needs to be starting. And I'm not just saying this because I'm an Alabama guy and because I have my crimson and white colored glasses on and only see that. Derrick Henry is going to be an NFL Hall of Famer if he's allowed to be. No disrespect to DeMarco Murray, good player. I feel like Henry is the guy to build the offense around along with Mariota. And man, he was able to just dominate in this past game, albeit against the Colts. Say what you will, but that was really a coming out party. Not that he hadn't done good things before, but really coming out party. Man, had I believe like 134 yards rushing, highlighted by that 72-yard run towards the end of the contest. And looked pretty dang good, man, doing so. I mean, this is a kid, 240-something pounds, just running like a gazelle through defenses and moving fluidly. Um, he just so has so much to offer. Don't feel like he's been given the opportunities yet that he needs to excel and to show what he's capable of, but it's coming.
It's for SEC wise, I think Leonard Fournette is really, surprising everyone. He's scoring a touchdown every game.
Man, I was a doubter, not because of him, but mainly because, man, Jacksonville just had a terrible line, and I just didn't feel like he was going to be able to do what he needed to do. with that offensive line. But apparently, in the off season, Jacksonville was able to piece something together to where, man, they are opening up some running lanes, not the, along with what Fournette's creating and what he's capable of doing. But I mean, the team as a whole, man, is just playing at a level that's not typical of Jacksonville. Very competitive. It's amazing to see what they're doing. And Fournette, yeah, I mean, right now, clearly the best rookie in the NFL right now, if not the best running back playing right now.
I would agree. And for the people who have him for fantasy football, they're definitely winning. But anyways, this comes to the end of the show. Justin, any final words before the Tennessee game?
Well, I'm hoping we got another victory cigar lined up. I don't know if you know about that. For those of you who haven't really followed the rivalry between Alabama and Tennessee, but a tradition for that game is the winner would smoke the team would smoke a victory cigar. Started in 1950 by Jim Goostrey, who was the head athletic trainer for Alabama, and every year after that, Alabama wins, the whole team would smoke victory cigars. And it got to the point to where the NCAA found out, and they actually tried to stop it now because it's clearly a violation because you're giving kids cigarettes or nicotine, whatever.
Tobacco.
But they disbanded it. It still went on. And then actually was renewed back in 2005. And the funny thing is, whatever team wins, they smoke the victory cigar. Then they self-report themselves to the NCAA to to keep this little tradition alive. I think it's pretty funny. Man, love beating Tennessee. Can't stand Tennessee. They're one of the fan bases I've had one of the worst experiences with throughout the years as an Alabama fan. Man, I always got love beating them. This is I love beating them more than beating Auburn. I know it's crazy to say. A lot of Alabama fans will argue that, but yeah, man, just ready to see another sound Crimson Tide victory. Ready to see Jalen Hurts and company, along with Damian Harris, just have another tremendous day and go into that bye week looking good, staying healthy as we prepare for that battle against LSU.
Big game this weekend at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, live from Bryant Denny. It'll be on CBS. And do you like the new announcer for the Alabama games on CBS?
Brad Nessler, yeah, he's good. He's a guy from ESPN for years. I always enjoyed his commentary. Matter of fact, he was also, those of you who remember, he was one of the voices on the college NCAA football game that we had on PlayStation and Xbox. But anyway, man, I always respected what he brought to the game. Has a clear, great knowledge of the game. Shows no favoritism. Definitely brings a lot, adds a lot to the game. It makes it enjoyable, and I think he works well with Gary. So
I miss Vern. I'm sorry. I know you're not a Vern fan, but
it's crazy, man. I kind of was annoyed by Vern for years, but now he's gone.
he's doing
Kind of
college
miss him a
basketball
little.
now. I think that's all he's doing.
Oh,
And
I thought he got it all together.
no,
But yeah,
he's doing
he
college basketball, and he does make some appearances for the Dallas Cowboys sometimes.
oh, okay. Well, yeah,
So
he's one of those legends, man. Hate to see him go. And he's gonna be remembered. But
yeah.
I'm enjoying college football on that right now. So
Well, Justin, thank you very much for coming on. It's gonna be a great
yeah,
game this Saturday, 3:30. The season's not over. Don't dream about the playoffs yet. There's still work to be done.
don't let Nick Saban hear you talking about the playoffs yet.
We still gotta play Mercer, so
uh, yeah, I tell you, I'm still trying to mentally prepare for that one.
that one's gonna be a good one. That one is gonna be a nice pre-warm up before Auburn, but it's gonna be. I mean, so far the season's good. No complaints. I haven't heard much complaints. How can people find you on Twitter? Because you are the best Twitter poster on like game days.
Yeah, you can definitely get a lot of activity from me. You can find me. I'm on Twitter Also Instagram, same handle, 12-1 at 12-1 training. That's the number 12 and then one spelled out training. Let me explain to you about that. My business is 12-1 training. It's a fitness ministry to help better people's lives physically. Check that out, www.121training.com. Specialized in personal training, workout routines, as well as meal plans at a very affordable rate. Definitely check that out. Hit me up if that's something that interests you. But yeah, man, follow me on Twitter on game days,
You're
game time. Have a
twittering
lot.
right before the games as well, before and after, and
Yeah,
during, of course.
make a couple comments leading up to the start of the game, but during the game, I'm live unless I have some kids drive me crazy in my house. I might
Justin will
disappear for
let
a little.
Justin will
But
let you know who are like who's starting, who's not starting, who's injured, who's not injured.
yeah, I keep everybody up to date as exactly what's going on. So you'll definitely know what my feelings are because I don't hold anything back.
Well, my name is Santiago Leon. I'm with Sleon Productions, and we are the creator of this podcast, Swoll Tide Podcast, Alabama. We're serving to one of the biggest teams in history of college football. I always consider them like one of the tops with Ohio State and the U and whoever you think is the top out there. But thank you very much. Getting ready for this Saturday rivalry weekend, and it's gonna be great. God
Definitely, man.
bless and roll Tide.
Roll Tide.